Morning Star Ministries would like to present It's Not Over with Dr. Dan Farrell. And we have continuing guest with us, Dr. Michael George. How are you, brother? Welcome to the show again.
My pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you again. Dr. Farrell, how are you today?
Doing good. I'm so excited about this the rest of the week. Today is a happy Wednesday, I hope, for everybody. And we're going to get right into it. Before we get in, we got a lot of material to cover. But, of course, mystoryofamerica.com, patriothistory.org, is where you can find out more about Brother George's ministry. But he's also written some books that I think it's called My Story of America. And you can get that at Amazon, or you can get it through his webpage. But tell us a little bit, just like a few seconds.
He's a best-selling author as well.
I think I said that, didn't I? I didn't say that.
He is the best-selling
Why didn't I say that?
I don't know why you didn't say that.
Well, that's because I got my mind on. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today. But tell us about your speaking engagements. Of course, the book, My Story of America, you can offer that. But your speaking engagements, I think, Richmond, Virginia would love to have you. Kansas City, Indianapolis, and even in Alabama, they're listening to you.
Absolutely. I'm headed down to Alabama later on this year to actually speak to the Wetumpka Tea Party.
Okay.
Basically, I go to events and I share with them not only powerful stories from history, but also powerful stories from today, but I also give them practical things that they can do to help secure their liberty in this day and age, and how to fight for biblical values, how to fight for conservative values, how to fight for the things that our founding fathers actually believed in. And I give them things that educate them so that they know that, hey, wait a minute, I am being lied to. One of the companies that I am partnered with is an organization called Newsl.org. That's NEWSL.org. And they're like the Drudge Report, basically. It's online. And, their mission is to get the information out to the people. Relevant information that they can use, and that's what we need to do. So many people are ignorant. I just saw a video of a gentleman who was interviewing folks in San Diego who could not tell you when the Declaration of Independence was. People were saying things like, well, wasn't that when Abraham Lincoln freed us from the South? That was when we signed the Declaration. I mean, people had no clue. That's the problem. We have lost our history. Last time we shared that powerful document from 1776, which laid the groundwork for the Declaration of Independence. And here's how it did that. That document stated, that we need the merits and mediation of Jesus Christ, his pardon, his forgiveness. They sent that to the 3 million colonists. And those colonists were told to fast and pray and humble themselves to God on May 17th. Why did the president of the Continental Congress and the Congress want the nation to do that? Because they wanted them to get prepared, because they knew that this battle was coming.
Right.
So when they write the Declaration of Independence, what does it say? It says to the king this: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. They put this document together and they send it to the king, and they tell the king this: King, you are not the final authority.
Amen.
There is an authority higher than you, and that's who we appeal to. That authority grants us rights and privileges that you can't take away. That's why the document from the National Day of Prayer Proclamation is so important for the Declaration of Independence. That's what they were doing. They did not want a tyrannical government ruling over them and saying, you can't take away our rights and privileges that God gives to us.
Right.
This is what's starting to happen today, and this is why you have people upset to say, wait a minute, God gives us these rights and privileges. You can't come along, Supreme Court. You can't come along, administration, and say, no. We set the rules. We're bypassing the Declaration. We're ignoring those things. But Patrick Henry warned us actually that something like this was happening. First, we had the Declaration of Independence, and when that occurred, the states were to gather together in a confederacy, okay? Not in the one in the 1860s, okay?
Right.
And they basically agreed to work together with commerce and protection. And then along came the idea that, hey, we need this Constitution. And the states began to ratify it. Patrick Henry was amongst one of the men that said, wait a minute, I am against the ratification of the Constitution. And he fought against it. And here's why he said he was against it. He says, I have a fear that a large national government will go against everything we've just fought for against Great Britain. I fear that too much power in too few hands is a danger to Republican liberty. Nothing is going to be able to check a national government entrusted with a vast military might and the unlimited authority to tax.
Wow.
National government will become more and more bloated, wasteful, and extravagant over time. The splendid maintenance of the president and both houses of Congress, and the salaries and the fees of the swarms of officers and dependents on the government will cost this continent immense sums.
Wow, wow, wow.
And here's what will happen. Virtue will slumber, but the wicked will be continually watching, and consequently you will be undone.
Wow. Man, what a prophet.
Absolutely.
And see, that's what totalitarianism, whether it's socialism, communism, they cannot stand somebody that has an authority higher than the nanny state.
Exactly.
They hate that. And that's what Obama wants. That's what Hillary Clinton wants. And let me say this, and I know I live in Ohio, southern Ohio, and I am a Southern sympathizer. And the South was right insofar as they knew that a central government would evolve into a monster. And of course, look, we're not talking about slavery. If you want to talk about slavery, let's talk about the sex slave kidnapping of young ladies being prostituted. Talk about that. Don't keep talking about what happened 100 years ago. I get sick of that. But what I do see is what we have right now is a reconstructionism of America.
Here's the thing,
we do.
You brought up the point about slavery. Here's what people don't realize. Okay, they want to criticize. Do you know that Thomas Jefferson 3 times put forth bills, okay, to end slavery? Okay, mm-hmm. They were all overturned. What you had in the colonies at that time, there were loyalists who became Americans who had very wealthy plantations with slaves. Okay,
that's right.
Now men like Jefferson and Washington both did own slaves. But here's something that people don't understand. In the state of Virginia at that time, in the colony of Virginia at that time, mm-hmm. It was against the law to free your slaves. Okay, if you just freed them, they came and took you and your family, threw them in jail, and then they took that slave family, split them up, mm-hmm. and sent them to different plantations.
Yeah. Complicated thing.
Okay, absolutely. Washington, upon his deathbed, had in his will placed that he wanted his slaves freed. One of his slaves actually gave a eulogy at Washington's funeral.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
Slavery was not a good thing. They knew that, but they were trying to fight the battle to eventually get rid of it, okay?
Right.
It's like any kind of sin. How long of a battle does it take to get rid of a sin?
Right.
Okay, when people get addicted, get a hold of it, build their whole lifetime around it. People just like to make it like, well, it just should have been done. There were these men were fighting against it. Jefferson actually wanted it in the Declaration of Independence for the abolishment of slavery. But he knew that if that was in there, he could not get the states the colonies that were, majority slave states or slave colonies to go with it, and they had to have a majority.
Well, their economy was built upon
exactly.
It was, but there were more abolitionists in the South by 1861 than there was in the North.
Absolutely.
So slavery was not a Southern problem; it was an American problem.
Yes, it was.
And who lost what they call the Civil War? Who lost? Everybody did.
Absolutely.
Because when the South lost the war, the North lost because we lost state rights.
Well, there were people that were what I would say white supremacists mm-hmm. All over the country.
Oh yeah.
Look at the state of Oregon. If you go read the Oregon Constitution from the 1859, okay, in it states that no Negroes can live there. Okay, mm-hmm. They can't live there. They can't hold land. This is up till 1926. Wait a minute. I thought Oregon was one of these places.
Yeah, liberal.
It's north. It's a northern state. They were all good. No.
Yeah.
This state, go look it up. They can go online and find it. Call him Matt Novak.
My dear preacher brother in Southern Oregon, Brother Tommy, I hope you're listening. He's in Oregon. He took over Morning Star Baptist Church there in Medford, Oregon. But yeah, Oregon, they think they're such broad-minded liberals.
Tommy, I'll be happy to come to Oregon. I've been there before.
I'll get Brother Tommy to invite you. Yeah, that's astounding to me. But here's why we're talking about this, is because you and I were saying there's been some watershed moments in American history. One was that Civil War. We lost that, and that was the beginning of moving greater towards greater government, which has given us a socialistic totalitarianism. We're getting taken over.
Well, part of the issue is not only did we lose then and all of the state rights, but even now history's being rewritten in the wrong manner. It's not telling what really happened.
Correct. Well, he who wins the war writes the history books. See, most of your history books are from the North. But now we go through the New Deal with FDR, which was a travesty. And then, of course, we get off the gold standard. And then, of course, we get to the infamous 1963 prayer and 10 Commandments taken out of school. Then 1973, women has a right to kill little girls in their womb. I mean, that's some feminist agenda. And then, of course, 2001, God sends us a wake-up call. And we didn't take it. And then, of course, now, 2015, with a Muslim president, we just have legalized perverts to get married. And guess what? The Mormons now are coming out, and the Mormons are saying, why can't we have polygamous marriages? And now the pedophiles are coming out. Pedophiles are now wanting legal protection. I've got the article. The first one was from Mississippi, and they want legal protection, and they want to be dubbed an alternative sexual orientation.
Also in Virginia, I just found out this morning, or was it maybe last night, that in Virginia they're implementing in government schools, public schools, it is mandatory, and whether it's in kids' health class or it's called family life learning, one of the two, they are going to be taught sexual orientation of what is gay, lesbian, transgender, what that is, and what it looks like. And then in the 9th grade, they're going to be discussing,
my goodness,
I don't even like to say this, makes me feel, but oral and anal sex and what that is in the 9th grade.
Now, see, this is what I'm saying. When are God's people going to say enough is enough?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, 8th grade. I apologize. 8th grade now.
Pull your children out of the schools.
That's right. And look, Virginia, you need to have a holy outcry against this. It's time. Did you hear what Dr. George said? That Patrick Henry and his peers got to a point where they told England, our king is Jesus Christ, not King George. And we're done. Now, they didn't declare war, did they? England did. The shot that was heard across the world. And they even offered an olive branch, but England didn't take it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not one of these guys that feels like I'm Rambo and go out there with guns blazing. But I'll tell you what, my mouth needs to be blazing. And I'm going to do everything I can. And you sorry preachers that want to stay in your plastered walls and hide, they're coming after you, sir. It's time that you protest.
Thank you for listening to It's Not Over with Dr. Dan Farrell. If you just happen to catch the tail end of our show, you can get on sermonaudio.com/itsnotover and get caught up on any of the shows that have aired in our past. I'd also you could get a hold of sermonaudio.com/itsnotover by going to our umbrella website, which is morningstarnetwork.org. That's morningstarnetwork.org. And there you can also give financially to help sponsor and promote our program. And we ask that you please do pass the word along. If we've been a blessing to you, pass the word along to your family and friends. We'd like to thank so much for having Dr. Michael George here on our show. And if you want to contact him, find out more information on him, you can visit mystoryofamerica.com. He has a best-selling book called My Story of America. And you can also visit patriothistory.org. And he does different venues such as schools, businesses, military events, conventions, and churches. And so this is something that you have been interested in. You can please contact him at mystoryofamerica.com. And here's Dr. Farrell.
You know, the Bible says the wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. The only nation that can forget God is a nation that at least knew him at one time or remembered him and accepted him. America has been a blessed nation. We held the Bible up as our textbook, and God as our creator, and Jesus Christ as our king. But now our country's been stolen, and preachers, pastors, and Christians have allowed it without a whimper. I beg you, get on your knees, ask God to give you wisdom and zeal, and let's take our country back.